can sit in a position, so I'm taking notes. Alright, Mark, welcome to the order at 7:02. And we'll get right into it. This evening we have a special guest from the county, Gordon Kelsey, who's you're on the what? It's the Public Works, right? So the Department of Public Works for the county is here to give us an update on projects. So with that, we'll turn it over to Gordon.
I don't know, can you all hear me if I talk about this loud? Is that good or not too good?
Good, stay home, watching the game.
Good.
Everybody here? Everybody here?
Okay. I'll stand in front of it, maybe. So I just wanted to talk about the county's 6-year plan. Some of you came to the 6-year hearings, but not everybody could make it, and we understand that. So I just kind of wanted to briefly go over that process so you understand it, and then talk about the Schilling Road project, which I'm sure some of you are interested in. And then I had put a bunch of handouts out, so hopefully everybody got one of those, and I'll kind of talk about the information in those. The first sheet on here is just talks about the Schilling Road project, gives some basic information. We're just really kind of scratching the surface, getting started with that project. And then behind that are the maps. And these maps are 2 pieces to get our whole county in. And so there's an east side and a west side. And it shows each one of the projects on our 6-year plan. And kind of highlights them in a different color, and there's a legend on the side that tells what year that project will be done. And then on the very back, there's a spreadsheet that kind of gives more of a detailed list of the name of the project, kind of brief description of what it is, how much it's going to cost, and what year it's going to be proposed to be done. So the 6-year plan, what you're looking at in that spreadsheet and the projects on the map, we're required by the state to put together a plan for the 6-year period ahead of us to have a good idea of what we're proposing to do. And the plan has to be financially constrained. We have to have enough money to be able to do the projects on the list. We just can't have a big list of stuff that we'd like to do. We have to actually have the money to do it. So as most of you know, if you've been around here long enough and seen our 6-year plan before, not every project gets done that's on the 6-year plan within 6 years. That's just the reality. Reasons that might not occur, we might have an emergency that will cause us to divert funds to an urgent project, or in the winter or summer, fire, snow, flooding, those kinds of things that would change our plan. Sometimes the granting people change the rules in midstream and cause us to shuffle things around, and that's happened. And permitting, delays in getting right of way, we don't control the permitting people, and so we do our best to plan, but they take the time that they take, and that could delay projects. But we're continually seeking out grant dollars to fund our projects because we don't have enough money to fund all the projects on the list, and so we rely heavily on grant dollars to fund all these. So the road fund, between the road fund, which has about $1.2 million to spend on capital construction projects, the Board of County Commissioners also gives the road fund another $1 million from the landfill dollars. The landfill every year, and that helps fund local road projects. So most of the grant funds that are out there fund roads, your arterial roads, your collectors, the ones that really move all the traffic. The local roads, like Schilling Road, there are no grant funds for those. the state and the federal agencies expect the counties or the local agencies to take care of those. So we really do a good job of leveraging the $2.2 million that we have every year. A typical year's road program is about $4.2 million, so we end up doubling the money that we have available from the county. So ways that projects are selected to be included on the 6-year plan, those of you that came to the hearing, the board wants to hear your input, and that really goes a long way. This year we had a couple projects on there that one group of people really weren't sure, didn't really want it done, and then the people that came from Schilling Road and voiced their opinion that they wanted it done really, swayed the county commissioners to move that project up. We doubled the length of it. It actually was about 1 mile. It's now 2 miles, and it moved from, I think, 2017 to get started to 2016. So, good news, but you come and say, so, yeah, so everybody that came, you guys, it really matters. So that's good news. Lots of other reasons, though, why we select projects. We have a lot of local roads that really they're vying for that $1 million that come from the landfill. That's how we fund those, and that's how the board has kind of helped us rebuild some of these local roads. So projects on the list. I'm not sure how much you wanted me to get into the 6-year program, but next year we have projects on the list. If you're familiar with Lakeside Road in the Glenwood Valley, and then we had another small piece of Fisherville Road that's still gravel, and those projects they're grant funded, and those will be constructed this year. As well as in the White Salmon area, there's a piece of Snowden Road, about a 1.5 mile section at the most, that will get reconstructed. And those are really probably a couple of the big projects. We also have a slide repair project in Wishram, which is one of those emergent projects that, when the road started to slide, we have to take care of it. And so it gets moved right up to the top of the list. And so that's a project that moved up. Let's see. So on the schedule for Schilling Road, which is maybe why you're maybe have some more interest in that project specifically, the plan is to build a good base. It's pretty straight, so there won't be much change at all to the alignment of the road. I think there's 2 curves on it, and then pretty much it's straight. And so the curves are really pretty good. They're not too. Yeah, they're not too bad. Yeah. So we'll rebuild it with 12-foot lanes and ditches, and then it'll have a hard surface. So and then rebuild. There's a lot of fences that'll need to be rebuilt and those kinds of things. So we've just started that process. So we've gone out, we've surveyed. That's kind of one of our first steps. Also, you've noticed holes that we dug in the middle of the road, and so the ground is pretty soft underneath there. So we want to make sure we put enough or thick enough section of gravel so we support that new pavement. So that's why the holes are there. And I apologize, but it'll get better. So schedule-wise, we're working on the design this year. People that live along the road will be contacting you to purchase strips of right-of-way that we need to build the road and construct it.
So do you know what right-of-way you need at this point?
No, not until we start the design. Like I said, we're just collecting the information and we're just getting started. So, like I said, the project really just got put on the list, got moved ahead. The 6-year plan was adopted at the end of this past year. And so we're, getting a start on it. We'll have another public meeting and invite everybody, but we want to hear from you too. So you guys know things about the road that we don't. You drive it every day and you live there. So what you know about it as far as drainage, places that are really soft, those kinds of things are important for us to hear. So we want your input.
But you're also aware that the firehouse is going in on Shore.
Yes.
And that was another concern, fire trucks having good access to.
Yeah, so the people that came in and lobbied for the project, that was a big reason why they wanted us to extend the project out to the fire hall. So it pretty much runs just past the fire hall and in that land. So it doubled to 2 miles instead of 1 mile.
I don't drive the road that often at that end, because I'm just on High Prairie, I used to go to Heartland. But that curve that's just south of High Prairie Road on Schilling, are you gonna rebuild that? That's really blind and really dangerous, especially in inclement weather.
Yeah, so it'll be rebuilt so it meets current standards. You'll have sight distance, and there'll be ditches, so that'll kind of open that up on the side where you can't see past
Are you
it.
gonna straighten those a little, or?
They'll straighten a little, but
I was just curious, I saw some areas in there in the States, like they're going across the hill, but it looks like.
yeah, we want to make sure we go out there once and pick up all the information we need instead of sending them out. So, we don't know exactly how much we'll need information to decide whether it'll fit. So we collect a little extra so we don't have to go back. Let's see, so schedule. So like I said, we'll start design this year, construction on the road, if we're able to, and this is all, remember that if we get right away, if there's no permit issues, and you never know, the plan is to start construction in 2016. So that'd be next year. So, and then that'll have, by the end of next year, the plan is that we'll have a good gravel road. It'll be built to standard, the full section. And we kind of let them sit over the winter so that we make sure that there aren't any soft spots or anything that shows up. And then the next year in 2017, we come back and we put the, it's actually they call it a bituminous surface treatment. It's a double shot of the chip seal that you've seen us do. And that gives us a surface, it's a hard surface about that thick. And that for light vehicles, if it's not a heavy truck route, which it's not, that's what most of our roads are.
It is a bus route.
Yeah, buses are okay. Yeah, that's not enough to cause damage. So if we build a good base. Just one?
218
Yeah, and when I'm talking about it, it's, we can have some truck traffic. I don't mean to say that none, but just not a lot like some of our arterials and collectors. So, that really kind of covers the project at this point. Like I said, we're just getting started. Good job to the people that came in and really petitioned the board, and it made a difference, and the project got moved up, got doubled in length, and it's funded, so that's good.
We'll be there again.
Ernest Eugene right here.
I just have a question. I'm curious, watching the process. So we've noticed the surveyors are out. How long of a process is that? How often do they have to come out? Because it's all electronic and is it all, it's advanced now?
Yeah, they still have to be able to see, so I know that the day I was out here, it's pretty foggy, and so you can only do so much, so.
Like how long of a process is the surveying and then usually, if you could see all of this?
They're pretty much done.
Yeah, the surveying should be pretty much complete. We may have to send them back out for something, that we need once we look at what they've collected. But they should be done, and now it'll come into the office. And right now we're trying to get all the projects that we're going to build this year, get the plans finalized for those, and then once that happens, then we'll shift gears and start all over again. So, but we want to have everything ready, all the data and information that we need, so when we hit that point, we're not waiting for stuff. So,
Quick question. Sorry.
What happens to the old 6-year plans that don't get done? First of all, I totally support what you're trying to do here for a number of reasons, but in the beginning, the idea was to do Heartland Road up to High Prairie Road, which was done, and to do Shilling Road up to High Prairie Road, and that was partly done, but we ran out of money. And then the other part was to do High Prairie Road from Shilling Road to Heartland Road, and that, of course, has not been done. And there's actually like more residences along High Prairie Road than there are from the intersection of High Prairie and Shilling on out to the end. So one would hope that if that was on the plan in the past, that it would still, the idea of doing High Prairie Road would still be a viable project that would be on the plan somewhere.
I haven't been here for a long time. I've been here about 6.5 years. And it's not on any of the plans that I've seen. So.
Well, it once was.
It once was. I can look back and see if it's somewhere in the past it was on there. It probably helped, but you need to come to the 6-year hearings and talk to the commissioners too when they have that time, because on the local roads you're really competing with the rest of the county. And
maybe some of this will be here.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it makes a difference. It really does.
It was 21 years ago when we first drove around, and I went to the Department of Public Works and asked them when Shilling Road would be paved. And they said, "Oh, it's on the plan. It'll be paved soon. It's on." They didn't have a 6-year plan at that time. It was before the 6-year plan was developed, but it was scheduled to be paved, and so we had our hopes up 21 years ago. But,
Yeah.
Generally speaking, when you have an existing gravel road like now, and you go from what amounts to 24 feet of road, does that usually require additional right of way?
You have to fit the ditches and stuff. I think there's places where there's 60 feet, there's places where there's nothing, there's an easement. And so a lot of the property was subdivided at some point in time, and typically that's when the subdivision process is required to dedicate that 60 foot, and that helps us. But in this case, it didn't happen for some reason. So we have to go back and fill in the gaps, essentially. Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of places where it's, pretty flat, I've noticed a lot of the fences look like they're set back about 30 feet from the center of the road. Probably don't need anything. But where you have a cut bank, like where those curves are, that's really close to the road, those, to catch up, cut a slope and catch, you're way up on top, and you're oftentimes out beyond that 30 feet. Yes, sir.
Do you guys do your own engineering or do you contract it out?
The only thing on this one that we contract out is the soil testing. We don't have the equipment, and so they come out and when they came out, we dug some holes. They actually, the process is they thump the road. They drop a hammer on the road or a weight, and it tells us how soft that soil is below, and it's pretty mushy. So that, we don't have the equipment, so we hire someone to help us get that information. But the rest of it we do.
How deep is the base rock going to be?
I don't know yet. It's soft though.
Yeah.
So normally we're 1 foot to 1.25 foot of base rock. Could be more than that here.
Right.
Yeah, because it's not very rocky. Most places in the county is pretty rocky, not too far down. Along the road, for some reason, it's pretty soft. Yes.
So how long, once you get to the actual putting the VSD down, how long does that take? Or in other words, how much of our lives are going to be disrupted?
2016, if you travel that road, it will be disrupted. There'll be delays. There'll be, delays up to 20 minutes. And it'll be, it'll get worse before it gets better.
So no complete shutting down of the road?
No plans to do that. Usually we keep single lane open and then both lanes are open at night. And then when they come back and put the VSD, the chip seal surface down, that's pretty quick. We can do that, a week will be done. And during that process, we have two-way traffic going through that too. So.
Like summertime when we'll start with EST?
Yes, we'll wait. We have to have the hot weather to get the asphalt to cure out. And that's another reason why we wouldn't do it in 2016, because it'll take us the whole summer and weather starts to get iffy. And, we and other people have done this thinking you could kind of stretch your window when you can do it, and then that's when you start getting this bleeding of the asphalt the next year, and none of us want that, because that's just a mess for everybody. Yes?
Just out of curiosity, what is your cost per mile approximately?
Well, the cost for the whole project is about $1.2 million, so it's a 2-mile project, so $600,000 complete per mile.
I know this isn't anywhere in your plans, but on High Prairie Road, on the west side of the bottom of the dip, going up to Parkland, there is some very, very soft spots. In fact, it make your car move when you go across it.
I think I felt it.
Yeah, you got across them.
Yes.
It should be nice to have at least that kind of stuff done. Then there's, coming down the hill on that side, there's 2 rocks that protrude about that far. I mean, they gotta be pretty good sized rocks because the grader never does move more cover. It would be nice to have those out there too, in the same process.
Yeah, one of the things that that I noticed, and it affects the amount of maintenance that you get, that we're going to change. So we classify the roads, and that helps us give maintenance to those. So the lowest class of our roads are called primitive roads, and High Prairie Road is classified as a primitive road. So what that means is that it gets the lowest amount of maintenance of any of the roads in the county. And so grading typically on those roads happens twice a year. Snow plowing, they're the last ones. We gotta plow all the main ones or you won't have anywhere to go if we plow those first. So, but really there's a lot of development out here, and there's a lot on High Prairie Road. So the road needs to be upgraded to a local road. So that'll help too, and that'll help for adding it to the list of a road that needs to be done. But there's a lot of development that's taken place. A lot of the properties are chopped up into smaller parcels that could be developed. So more people could be there, although, I know that there's water issues and those kinds of other things, but yeah, it needs a higher class so we can do a little more maintenance, a little better job. So
how do you get that higher class then? Just by people showing up at the 6 years?
No, it has nothing to do with that. Like I said, we're going to do that because I recognize that it needs to be something different than what it is. There's too many people living on it, and it needs a different kind of classification for maintenance.
So is that why we've upgraded the High Prairie Road to the firehouse, because of the firehouse going in?
Yeah, well, the original plan was only to go to High Prairie.
Right.
Yeah, and so because the fire station is being put there, but and the people that came in and asked, so the board wants to be responsive to those kinds of requests.
So then I notice on the sheet here, it says, end of oil to High Prairie Road, so that's incorrect. Now it would be to the firehouse?
Correct. Yeah, it goes to the firehouse, because that was the original plan. So, but it does go all the way. One of the things I brought too, I didn't put them out, but if anybody's interested, in the 6th year, I brought 10 copies of the whole plan, so it has one of these first sheets for every project that's proposed for this year, if you're interested. So it's only that first year's worth of projects, and I didn't think everybody would want that, but they are there. And then I also have a list if you want to get more information on any one of the projects, or there wasn't enough handout information for you. Let me know, and we'll put your name down there. Also, if you wanted to be contacted about the Schilling Road project, that would be great. We could start making sure we notify you if you're interested in finding out when we have our public meetings, or if we do a newsletter, those kinds of things. So, yes, sir.
Let's change the subject, project down on Center Village at top of the hill. Is that partly federal funded, or is that emergency yet?
No, that was all county dollars. Yeah, and so we kept having to clean up. I was talking to a few people about picking up rocks off the road. And so that one, the top of that was starting to come back over past vertical, and so we needed to remove that. And so we just did it the right way, because they kept taking as much as they could down, but it just kept unraveling. So we also had a spot where we needed the rock, and you've probably seen the pile down in Dalesport if you've driven through there. And so that's where it went.
We got a bunch here too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know there's more of those to fix, yeah. Oh, good.
No, we got some on the property.
Oh, good, okay, good.
That was very appreciative.
Good. So,
Do you sell that rock to recoup some of the money, or does it just go for other projects that are needed around the county?
yeah, sometimes there's waste that we want to just get rid of. Won't be something we want to, in this case, most of it went down to Dalesport. And so sometimes we're looking for places to fill, so that can happen. I don't know if there may be a need for a fill from the Schilling Road project. So if people are interested, you just let us know, and then we'll keep you in mind.
What would you classify as a public project? It's personal, that was my personal.
Well, I guess what I mean is the contractor will be looking for waste sites if he's got too much material. And so, it's something we need to get rid of. He bids it to get rid of it, and what he does with it, if he hauls it closer rather than pretty far away, that's up to him.
There's a variety of people here who have some personal projects that they could love. When they're 20 or 40 acres, X number of dump loads of rock.
Yeah.
They step right up to the plate and say, drive 500 yards and dump it on my place.
Okay. Well, if you want to add your name there and then why,
I do.
Yes.
Totally unrelated, but it's a slide about the highway quartet. This evening, you have an update on that, since you're kind of.
I don't have an update.
It's open, Sharon says. I've been through, I was stuck, but it was clear. Rock slide came down on Highway 14, just out of engine.
About 069. Today.
Yeah, about wide.
It's like 4:30 to 7.
Yeah, it is. So if there aren't any more questions, I'll hang around until after the meeting. So if you think of something else, I'll be here. So thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for that update. And as he said, he won't be sticking around until after the meeting, as long as we don't go too late, he says. I think his bedtime's about 9:30, sounds like. So carrying on with the regular list of business here, we need to approve the minutes of the last meeting. So I am open to a motion. Did everybody get a copy of the minutes? Susan?
Who made the motion?
I did.
I second the motion.
Okay, so there is, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the last meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consider it done. Some ongoing announcements that we have. As always, please remember to sign our guest list at the back of the room before you leave tonight if you haven't signed in yet. And a reminder that the videos from all of the meetings are available online at the High Prairie website, the Community Council website, highprairiecommunitycouncil.wordpress.com. And we wanted to throw in a reminder of the DNR presentation that's coming up with Dan Lemon at February 7, 2015 at 7 p.m.
All in. 7.
It's what, 7 a.m.?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 is.
Seven.
Really?
Yeah. Because they're doing it.
I don't know if it starts at 7, I think it might be like 10 to.
Yeah.
He's providing the order. So yes, that's correct. So, correct.
All right, correction, 10 a.m.
10 to 3.
10 to 3, okay.
With lunch.
Do you know, Sharon? Was it 10 to 3? Yes.
Sounds about right. Moving on to officers' reports, I have nothing to announce. Sharon and Barbara are working our way down the list. Mr. Henschel, please give us an update.
This is always so exciting. Actually, it's a little late to hear this time because the last time we had an actual meeting was in October, because in November and December, because of Thanksgiving, we didn't have a meeting, and in December we had our Christmas party. So at the last meeting, in October, I reported a balance of $23,592.32. Since then, we had debits of $1,767.46, and that relates to the donation for the Lyle Lions Christmas basket. We gave them $200. We spent $642 buying soil to put next to the building, 3 truckloads of soil. Cleaning of the fire hall was $227.50. Then we had the Christmas party, and I want to come back to that, but the food was $582.22, and then decorations $52, and poinsettias $63.74. So then going to the income side during this period, we always get our little token interest from the bank, so the dollar here and there. We had some High Prairie subscriptions. We had a rental of the hall for a wedding, that was $140. And then at the Christmas dinner, we auctioned stuff off, and we made $430. Pretty impressive. And we also had a jar back there for donations, and we got $232 in donations. So basically in that period through the end of the year, we had an income of $824.93. So at the very end of 2014, we had, our bank balance was $22,649.79. Since then, I have some bills that I need to get approval to pay, which total $620. The bigger one is our annual liability insurance bill, which is $564. It's the same as last year, it hasn't gone up. And we also have to renew our post office box, which is $56. So either at some point now or in new business, I just need to get approval to pay those bills. also, so far in January, we had an income of $165. We had some more High Prairie subscriptions to the High Prairie, and we had a mysterious $10 cash donation that showed up in a jar. I don't know where it came from. And we got a grant from the American Endowment, which is kind of another mystery, but it's $150, and the check looks good to me, so I'm putting it in the bank. So presently, as I speak, we have a balance of $22,194.79. And I don't, if anybody has bills that I haven't seen yet, I'd like to get them tonight so I can deal with them. And then I'd just like to go back to the Christmas party because I think it was a really impressive thing. If you total the expenses, it was like $697.96, and the donations totaled $662. So we did a really impressive Christmas party for like $36. So, I mean, to me, that's community spirit, and that's something that we did a really good job with.
Sometimes you get another round where there's for the good people who put a lot of work in.
Right. Anyway, I don't want to go on anymore, but if you have questions or you want to look at something, I've got all my stuff here. But if you do have any bills, I would like to get them tonight so I can deal with that.
So if you have anything for Fred, be sure to get it to him tonight if you can. And just a quick little footnote on that $150 donation, I did call that place. And that is some sort of an employer matching donation. So somebody who, and it is, I'm not even sure if it was in the community, somebody made a $75 donation and their company that they work for matched them $75. And that whatever company it is that they use to organize that that's where that came from.
And the only stipulation that we saw was that it has to be spent for something for the good of the community.
Right.
So that's not hard for us to do. So
No.
We'll do that.
So that was, if you're out there, you know who you are, thank you very much. And also to the $10 mystery jar donation too. And we'll get to that that movement or motion to cover the liability insurance under new business. In the meantime, moving on to the fire district report, is there anybody here that can give us an update from the fire district? Okay, so we'll have to forego the fire district update for this time around.
I can say that concerning the firehouse, the construction of the new firehouse, we have to get, just like here, we have to get a conditional use permit to build the firehouse on that piece of property. So that's been submitted, and I think it's going to come up. There's a so-called border review. I think that's going to happen in the first Monday in March. They have to put out public notices and all kinds of stuff, so it's a long process. And I know the fire commissioners are working on trying to develop better plans for what they want to do, and also on the finance of the whole thing. So that's what's going on there. Meanwhile, we have had some calls, some mostly medical calls were a little serious, but it wasn't totally quiet in December. We had things to do.
All right, thank you. Moving on to committee reports, Sunshine Committee, Audrey Benz, or Schuster, or both of you.
Just a card to Cindy Henshaw when her mother died. And then Myron, just right. You want to tell about the sextons?
Walt and Donette Sexton, our neighbors on the hill, many of you know that, remember them. We've learned through Walt's younger brother that rec center now. And Walt has some issues, aneurysms, I believe, in his abdominal area. So for both of them, health is pretty good. I think we should hold it in our hearts and remember that.
All right, thank you. Welcome committee. Carol Schuster, anything to report? Nothing to report there. Community center activities. Ms. Richards.
Yeah, we have a group coming in March that are going to be running out. It's Friends of the Gorge. And then, of course, the DNR, which is running it out February 7th. Actually, the DNR is not running it out. This is community service. But they're providing lunch. So if you're not at the chocolate festival that I'm helping teach in Lyle, you might want to come.
I'm so torn. I'm not sure what to do. Decisions. Let's see. So moving on, Hyperion Newsletter Committee. I don't see one here. So we'll have to forego that one too. Moving on down to unfinished business. No unfinished business from the last time. We couldn't come up with anything at the e-board meeting. New business. So it's come to my attention that we have to pay a bill for some liability insurance in the amount of $564.
I moved that we pay that. 500.
It's been moved that we pay that, what I said, and Chris seconded again. Okay, any discussion on that? I can't imagine that there would be. So all those in favor of paying our liability insurance bill in the amount of $564, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. We will pay our bill. And let's, is that separate? I guess we have to do that separate.
That's a separate bill. It's like, it's only $56.
56, okay.
Again, it's probably within our ability to just say we do that, but I like to know that everybody supports the money that we pay out.
Absolutely.
I move that we support the money.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to pay our bills again for the post office box in the amount of, you said 56? Any discussion? All those in favor of paying the P.O. box bill, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. All right. Motion carries. We will cover that one too. Okay, so moving on to the request for volunteers to bring refreshments to the now February meeting. Are there any volunteers?
What's the date?
This says, it doesn't say.
It's 16th, isn't it?
Well, that's the board.
The 26th.
It's always 10 days now.
We have one volunteer, Amanda Richards. Anybody else? Okay, Amanda's going to bring refreshments. And don't forget the next board meeting, Monday, February 16th. Yeah, everybody show up for that. Those are always interesting. And that brings us to the last piece of business to adjourn.
In more time,
Yeah.
Doug got a call from Bob Edwards. And he probably won't tell you the details, but they called and said he owed some income tax. They even knew the color of his house. The new color?
Yeah, it was a scam, IRS scam. And they wanted money, and of course, then they wanted, Shirley's one answered the phone. And they did have a description of the house, the color of the house, and the dog out in the yard. And I don't know where they get that stuff, where they're coming, because they're not local people call. But yeah, anyway, they really was trying to get money, and of course, the sheriff would be right out within a half hour if they didn't bring in the money, and they had Bob went on. There was a lot of things they would do to you, and finally they started, because he wouldn't, well, she was very shook up, of course. She did call the sheriff, but if you get a call from the IRS on money, it's a scam, because they do not call you.
Yeah, as far as I know, the IRS is not calling Bob Songer to come out to your house to collect the bill. And, you
I'd
know,
like to receive one of those too.
the same type of, really?
That was on the news tonight.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it was about a month
They had
ago.
another-
Yeah, I acted like I was heard that Tony didn't know any difference. During
Just hang out. Just hang out.
That's what you have to do.
Well, I have received many calls telling me I have won something. A lot of them have come from their corner talk, they come from Jamaica, they come from California, they come from all over. And the last time Doug answered, and he said, "This is Paul." Doug said, "Wasn't it Paul?" And anyway, one time I said, "I'm gonna hang up on you." He called me right back. And then one time I said, "You know, I'm gonna turn you in to the sheriff's department." Well, then this gal called me from Washington DC saying that you have been harassed.
You know, that's,
Yes.
Well, I did get a check, actually, in the mail, a $10,000 check. And of course, it was one of these things that if you cash it, you send them so much money, and you get to keep the rest, and there's $10 million that they're gonna have this, and I took it over to our bank, and I give it to them, and they marked it, see marked up. It would have been nice, I could have been a real happy time if I got that money.
Of course, it always is, you know, it's designed to get your attention, but I hope by now everybody knows not to respond to these things. If somebody calls up and they want your account information or they want any information at all, never give them any information off your checks, anything like that. If you guys suspect something, tell them to call them back and call me. I'll look it over, but even sometimes just taking a few minutes to think it over after you hang up the phone from these people, it'll settle in. Wow, this was a scam. I'm glad I didn't do anything. Please don't ever do anything, impulsive like that.
Well, they do, well, I suppose they do to anybody, but older people is the ones, and in fact, like on the news tonight, there were several of them that sent in $5,000 because they really thought it was true. And I know years ago, when my mother was alive, they were like, absolutely, but it's well worth knowing. Anyway, it's like the Publishers Clearinghouse, which is it's a legit deal, but it always says you have won, and you read that, and said, "Oh, people have definitely won." Well, the scams is the same thing.
There's people that spend their entire lives making these scams picture perfect so that they almost get you every time. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
want to add one other one too. I guess we were the target of this last month. One call
I guess so.
for Sally claiming to be, I think it was Legacy Health. They wanted to verify her social security number versus all that. And she goes, "I'll call you in the morning, I'm busy right now." Be aware, these guys are good, and when you look on call waiting, an IRS one, it says a Washington DC call. So.
Another one that's really good that I know something that happened a little while back. Somebody knocks on your door and they say, "We've got this leftover pavement from this job. We can't use it." And so they say, "We'll just pave up your driveway as far as we can with our leftovers." And you say, "Sure, whatever. Yeah, you got to get rid of this stuff." And so you go back to whatever it was that you were doing, and you turn around and your entire driveway is paved, and now they want money for it. That's another good one. Did you?
Yeah, I forgot to mention that we are doing yoga now. Jen Wickstra is teaching yoga. I believe it's a donation based on Wednesdays from 6 to 7.
Well, after these calls, you probably.
Probably do. Any other new business that anybody wants to bring up? In that case, we could adjourn. We have a motion. Motion to adjourn, Neil. Second. Chris is just in a second. Mr. Sadler, seconds. All those in favor of adjourning? Say aye. And those opposed? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you. Don't forget, Gordon's still here.